Hello, my friends. Hello, it's Matthew Street. Welcome to my channel. As always, I truly appreciate you being here. And folks, welcome to the first episode in my series reviewing the albums of John Denver. And for this first one, I've chosen the album Autograph by John, which I will slide into view here. Now, Autograph came out in early 1980, February 1980 to be exact. And at this point in John's career, he was at a crossroads. He had come off a series of albums that were smash hits for him going back 6 years. I'm talking the album Back Home Again, smash hit. Right after that, he releases An Evening with John Denver, smash hit live album. 1975, Windsong, probably the pinnacle of his commercial success. #1 album, #1 songs on it, top 10 hits, top 40 hits, Windsong, big smash hit. He follows that up late 75 with the smash Christmas album, Rocky Mountain Christmas. Big hit, and to this day it's a staple during the holiday season. Then he went through a series of albums where the commercial success wasn't as high as those previous albums, but he still did pretty well. He'd have some top 40 hits on these albums. I'm talking his next studio album in 1976, which was Spirit. Okay, did pretty well, and it's a great album. And right after that, after Spirit came out, and the big hit on Spirit was Like a Sad Song, that song was featured on his Greatest Hits Volume 2, another smash hit album for John, sold a ton of copies and did very well. Great album, lots of great hits on it. A year later, he followed up in 1977 with the album I Want to Live, which, although not as commercially successful as albums like Back Home Again and Windsong and even to some extent Spirit, I Want to Live was still a very successful album, and that it did have a top 40 hit on it with I Want to Live, and there's a lot of other great songs on this album, 1977. So his commercial success was starting to wane a little bit at this point, but he was still featured on a lot of TV specials, hosting his own TV specials, getting involved in a lot of different things outside of the world of music. He was at this point preparing for his role in the very successful movie Oh God with George Burns, did very well at the box office. So he was still, on some level, still high in the social, cultural phenomenon of being in the media, music, television, movies, and that. John was still riding high in 1977. It wasn't until after this period, in 77, that he put out an album in 1979 called JD, or self-titled John Denver. Now, this album, I didn't like it when it first came out. It has grown on me over the years, and I am learning, and I have learned to enjoy it. However, it took some time. But there were no real big hits on this. A lot of great songs. Like I said, I like the album, but no top 40 hits, no big songs on this album. So commercially at this point, 1979, John's popularity was starting to wane a little bit, okay? Although he would go on to host the Grammys in the early 80s and have some moderate success, those glory days of the mid-70s were slowly fading away from him. So he's at a crossroads in early 1980 when he puts out the Autograph album, as I said, February of 1980. Now, it was produced by his longtime producer, Milton Oken, and he did have a single from it that barely scraped into the top 40. The self-titled track, Autograph, did make number 39 on the top 40 charts. Again, it made the top 40, but how well known is it to the masses? Probably not too well, because it barely made it for that 1 week and then it dropped out again. Now, in the country charts, the song Autograph made number 28, so that was a little better. The album itself was recorded in mid-79, right after, the JD album, was coming to fruition. He went into the studios in June of 79 in California and in Louisiana, I believed. I'm sorry, Louisiana, California and LA. And he did record for 10 days the Autograph album. Now, he used his Cracker Jack band, the famous, well-known drummer Hal Blaine, a couple of guys from Elvis's old band, James Burton on guitar, Glenn D. Harden on keyboards and piano. He had the great Herb Peterson on banjo and guitar. and he had Emery Gordon Jr. on bass, and they kind of made a moniker for themselves when they recorded this album, called themselves Johnny and the Sharks, which I thought was pretty funny. But I want to say about this album, although Autograph barely scraped the top 40, and the album itself commercially did not do as well as some of his albums in the heyday, in my mind, it is still one of the best John Denver albums out there. And I'll tell you why, folks, because John really, after the JD album of 79 didn't do too well, I think he really got back to what he was known for and made him successful in the first place, coming out of the early 70s into the mid 70s. The songs on Autograph express peace, harmony in the world, harmony with nature, the joy and love of nature. The messages on this album are so charismatic, and he's got a crackerjack set of musicians, as I said, helping him with the backing, that it's just magical. It's a magical album. And although there's no smash hits on it, it's an instant classic in my mind. It really is good. You get some great country flavored songs on here, some great pop songs on here, beautiful ballads, typical beautiful John ballads, and you get a couple of mountain music jams on here that I really enjoy with a lot of good violin or fiddle, whatever you want to call it, mountain fiddle style, smacking your feet on the ground. Really good stuff. Stuff that will make you laugh, give you hope, full of wisdom. Fabulous storytelling on this album. It's a very strong album. It's genuine from John. You could tell he was just trying to get back to what made him great in the first place. It's sentimental, and it's got great songwriting on it. And I love the album. Now, on this album, there's 11 tracks, I believe, and there's only one that kind of turned me off to the album a little bit at first when I first heard it, and it's track 1. It's called Dancing with the Mountains. Now, it just does not fit on this album for me. The other 10 songs or so on the album, like I said, everything I just said, beautiful. Classic John Denver, instant classic album, albeit no big smash hits on it, but still, you'll love it. But the first song, he comes out of the gate with Dancing with the Mountains, which is kind of his take on disco meets mountain music meets country pop. I think it was his way of trying to seem modern and up to date with doing a slight, and I keep saying slight because it's not an all-out Macho Man or Hot Stuff by Donna Summer or YMCA by the Village People disco, but it's got a disco tinge to it in my mind. The beat of it and just the flavor of it, albeit not hardcore disco, but still, you could tell he was trying to get on that bandwagon with Dancing with the Mountains, and for me, it just does not work. And it figures it's the first track, so if you're putting this on and you just want some good pure John Denver, I feel bad for people that put on that first track and then took the needle off and said, that's it, I don't like this album, and sold it at their local flea market. I feel bad because the rest of the album is classic John Denver. It's great. Take off Dancing with the Mountains, it's a perfect John Denver album. But I still love it because it's only one song, albeit the first song, but the sad thing is he recorded this in June 79 when disco still had a little bit of a push to it, mid 79. But by the time the album came out in early 1980, and as we move through 1980 and new wave is getting bigger and other styles of pop music and rock is getting bigger, disco was on the downside by 1980. And by 1981 or so, definitely by 82, forget it. It's gone. The disco died, okay? So he was a little late to the party trying to jump in on that disco bandwagon, but give him kudos for trying anyway. And it wasn't successful. It didn't sit well with me, that's for sure. But anyway, I do love the album, albeit that one song, and songs like Mountain Song are so spiritual and tender. Ballad of St. Anne's Reel is the one with the real good fiddle and the violin. I can picture, like, if you get this reference, if you watch other channels, I can picture Glenn Kellaway and Sam St. John with their banjo and guitar, the Cosmic Torpedoes as they're known. And I can picture them playing Ballad of St. Anne's Reel because it's their style. It could fit right in with the banjo and the fiddle, and it's just a foot-stomping romp, and I love it. Beautiful ballad called In My Heart. It's just, I said the R, heart, I didn't say hot. In My Heart okay, is a great, great song. A beautiful song about called American Child is on here. Very well known. I think it was on his Greatest Hits, Volume 3, even though it really wasn't a hit. The song Autograph is fantastic on here. You Say the Battle is Over is a beautiful, beautiful, simplistic, but the beauty of the simplicity of it is fantastic. The message about preserving animal life and animals and just on our planet is just unbelievable. You Say the Battle is Over, you're going to love it. Wrangell Mountain Song is absolutely fabulous. These are just some of my favorites, but like I said, I think it's 11 tracks. 10 out of the 11 tracks are stellar classic John, albeit the one Dancing with the Mountains, which is track 1. Skip that one if you want. Go to the rest and listen to it through, and I promise you, folks, you will love Autograph by John Denver. It is an absolutely classic John Denver album. Shame it didn't get more notice commercial-wise, but that's what I always say about John at this point in his career after the 70s were winding down. Yeah, commercially, he was not on top anymore, but creatively, he was still there, folks, right to the end. And I'll be talking more about that as I move on with my series, reviewing John's albums. I'm going to try to get through all of them eventually, and I hope you'll stick with me in this series, folks, because the career of John Denver, the music of John Denver, and the message of John Denver is absolutely worth it. And especially in today's world in 2024. Need I tell you, what's going on in this world today? A million things we could list. But his message, his songs, his voice is needed now more than ever. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you'll pick up Autograph or at least stream it and try it. Let me know what you think. I love it. I think it's a classic. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.